Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the Mad Geiger. And up here today, I thought I would talk a little bit about the state of the collection, basically. It's like a state of, not in terms of like how everything looks. I mean, the state of the collection, what's going on with me collecting things, what I'm doing with my collection, etc. I want to start by saying that, I've been collecting video games, movies, DVDs, all sorts of stuff for the last, 10 years now. I've been doing videos for about 7 years now, but I was collecting well before that. And, the reason why I started collecting, honestly, if I'm being honest, it was because of YouTube, really. It was because I was watching YouTubers and I fell in love with like collection videos, people talking about games and stuff. And video games have been a passion of mine for quite some time. I've had video game consoles and for a long time. um and the thing is, while I've always stood by saying, I don't want to get rid of my collection, obviously there are certain things that reasons why people get rid of their collections. I've already done a video explaining why selling your games is, or selling some of your collection is often, a good thing to do, and why it has benefits. Of course, sum it up, space, money, to sort of try and get a bit of focus, obvious choices. But the thing is, at the moment, if I'm honest with you, I don't play a lot of video games in terms of, hours and hours on end like I used to, and playing tons of different games at once. Lately it's been sort of just the occasional, I'll come up and play a game for a couple of hours in a day, and then maybe once or twice a week at night, maybe I'll play something. Like tonight, I'm going to be playing some Overwatch. And like I said, the thing is, and the same goes with movies and DVDs and stuff like that. We live in a very dominant digital society now. Streaming video games and streaming movies and TV shows is is the way forward, unfortunately. While I've always stood by saying physical media has its purpose, and there are pros and cons, and we've already talked about this in the past, there are certain things that I don't want to get rid of, and I think to myself, for example, Netflix and Amazon Prime just added a bunch of stuff to it. Like they added Seinfeld, added My Wife and Kids TV show. They added the Halloween movies to Netflix, and I think to myself, for me personally, when I've watched something, that's it. 9 times out of 10, I don't rewatch TV shows unless it's a show that I really like. And I only really rewatch certain shows, like I've been rewatching The Office, for example, and I think to myself, well, why don't I have that on a box set? I think to myself, well, it's on Netflix. I don't need to own the box set if it's on Netflix. And I know Netflix and Prime and even gaming stuff like the Game Pass or PlayStation Now digital stores, can often be like hit or miss. Sometimes they'll have the thing you want on there, you get round to watching it, and then they'll take it off, or you'll go round to say, oh, I want to watch this, it's not on there anymore. And that's why some people say, well, having a physical copy is better. Like I've already talked about Happy Days, for example. This isn't available on anything other than DVD, and only the first 6 seasons, not the complete series. And you think to yourself, are they ever eventually going to release the other seasons? And you think to yourself, they could surprise you. Like My Wife and Kids, for example. That's a show that I've wanted to watch for a long time. And, when I seen that Amazon Prime had added it to their Prime Video, I was like, wow, that was something I didn't expect, and you think to yourself, well, the DVD is quite hard to find, and I don't even know if they did release a complete compendium, a complete series of that show, for example. But that's something that always takes, I factor into things. And for example, the Xbox, for example, you know, when I brought my Xbox Series S, you know, I didn't intend to go and say, oh, I wanted to not collect Xbox games anymore. But when I think of what Microsoft are doing with the Game Pass, games with gold, backwards compatibility, you know, I just think it's a great way, you know, the fact that I can just play, you know, hundreds of different games and without having to take up any space, you know. While yes, I tend to play games with my friend, you know, and you know, I've been playing Overwatch for the past 5 years with him, or whenever 3 years with him, you know, I've been playing the Avengers game, and that's just been added to the Game Pass. And I think to myself, why would I need the physical version if I have a digital version of the game? You know, and I've done a lot of thinking about the collection recently. You may notice in the last few pickups videos that we have done, it's been a lot of Blu-rays, a lot of DVDs and things like that. And the reason for that is because, again, I think to myself, you know, practically, why do I own Super Nintendo games if I'm never going to get around to playing a Super Nintendo? I have a modded Xbox with tons of Super Nintendo games on there, and I know, you know, that's a hit or miss subject for some people, but you know, I think to myself, or you know, think to myself, you know, maybe Super Nintendo or Sega Mega Drive games, for example, I still own them and I still own the actual console, but I haven't set them up. I think I've set up my Super Nintendo once since getting it, and it's great to own the console. You know, it looks good up there, but I think to myself, do I want to keep it? I don't really want to get rid of actual consoles because, you know, as a gaming, you know, enthusiast, I like to, you know, I'm like I say like a museum. You know how people want to try and preserve the past. You know, I love the past. I love what gaming has done, and I think to myself, you know, if I own a Super Nintendo and I own the original Super Mario, you know, that's pretty impressive. Yes, you can play them on Nintendo Switch, for example, but you know, some people say, well, the original, you know, if you own the original and you've got the original, you know, nothing beats that, you know, having the original controller, the setup to the TV. And in an ideal world, you know, I would have every console that I own set up, every game ready to play that I could want to play. But practically, you know, this is a 2-bedroom house. You know, we don't have a 5-bedroom house. I don't have a game room. And, you know, I'm going to start by saying that recently money for me personally has not been great. You know, there's been some things that have been quite tough for me personally. Luckily, you know, we are sorting it out, and I don't really want to go too in depth about finances, but that's why I haven't really been picking up a lot of video games or a lot of stuff like that, you know. And I think to myself, why do I need to go out if I can pay £10 a month for Game Pass? You know, why would I go out and spend 50-60 quid on one Xbox Series S game, for example, when I can play it for £10 a month or whatever, you know? And it works out better for me, you know. And yes, you know, I think to myself, you know, I've got a ton of movies that I need to sort out, a ton of games that I still need to go through, and I've put pretty much every Xbox 360 game I own up for sale, every Wii game that I own up for sale, a bunch of DVDs up for sale, and I've still got a ton more to show. You know, when I'll quickly give a quick over, you know, the amount of DVDs here. You know, there are things in here that I'd love, you know, for example, like the Austin Powers, but I know that's got a Blu-ray release. If I can get an upgraded version, then, you know, this is a film that I watch, you know, a bunch of times. So I'm going to keep the film because, you know, I know that they've added it to Netflix, and I think Prime have them, and probably they are the HD version, but at the same time, I don't know how long that's going to be on there for. There are some movies here that... For example, Fritz the Cat, for example. This one's kind of a hard to find one, you know, it's out of print. I actually found out that I own a movie called The Deadly Spawn, and I looked online, that's out of print, that's going for about 20 quid. And the same with the games, you know. I think about my PS1 games. I haven't actually played pretty much none of these PlayStation 1 games in a long time. You know, the PS4 games, I will play the game, and if I like the game, then obviously I want to keep it in my collection. Does that mean I'm going to play it again? For example, I don't know, if we look at a game that I did like, Watch Dogs, for example. I enjoyed the game. I beat the game. I haven't done everything in the game. Why haven't I got rid of it? Well, because I enjoyed the game, you know. The same with movies, you know. For example, I recently watched both Cannonball Run movies this past week. This particular Blu-ray is actually hard to find now. I can't find any information about it on eBay. No one's selling this version. But I know it goes for roughly 20 to 30 quid. I've watched both the movies. What's the point keeping them? I love these movies. I want to keep them. You know, PS2, for example. There are a ton of PS2 games here. Why do I keep the PS2? Because I like to have one collection that I can go, I want to collect everything for it. If I had a full PS2 collection, that would do me. Does that mean that, you know, there are games in here, for example, Pop Idol, for example. You know what? That's a 10p game I paid for that. What's the value of that game? Not a lot of value. What's the point trying to get rid of it? It's a terrible game. Am I going to play it? Maybe one day, but will I play it again? Probably not. You know, DS, PSP. I haven't played my DS. I haven't played PSP in a long time. I mean, some of these aren't mine, so I don't get rid of things that don't belong to me. Dreamcast, for example. I don't have a lot of Dreamcast games, but, you know, if I sold all of those Dreamcast games, I could probably get 30 quid for just those games alone. Would I do that? I don't know. And, you know, like DVDs, for example. I've put these ones up for sale, for example. You know, and I think to myself, you know, I'm a realist, for example. DVDs, for example, if I've watched a movie and I enjoy it and I think I'll watch it again, like there are some movies that I'll always watch. Austin Powers, for example. You know, Only Fools and Horses. That is on BritBox, but I want to keep the DVD set because you just, you know, because there are times where I may forget to pay for a subscription or I can't afford the subscription that month. But if I ever do want to watch Only Fools and Horses, for example, and I'm like, I'm really in the mood to watch Only Fools and Horses, for example. Oh, I'm going to watch it on BritBox. Oh, BritBox isn't working. Oh, I haven't paid for BritBox this month. I couldn't afford to pay for BritBox this month. I've got to wait another 2 weeks till I can get paid for it. You know, but I own DVD sets so I can watch it whenever I want. You know, but then there are things like for example, Happy Days. You know, I've watched season 1, I've watched season 2, I'm through season 3. Am I really going to watch this show again? And that's something I think to myself. Whenever I watch or play something, I instantly say to myself, is this something I want to keep in the collection? Is it worth having in the collection? I think to myself a few factors. First of all, the replay value. Am I going to rewatch it? Am I going to replay it? If it's a yes, then it's definitely worth keeping in the collection for me personally. If it's something I love, you know, like a particular franchise, like Star Wars, for example, I love the show, I love the game, I love whatever, then it's another reason to keep it in the collection. But if I say to myself, well, I watched it, I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it again, if I can get some money back for it, make up some space, then I can go, well, maybe that extra space now, I've made some space, and then I can replace it with something else. You know, and that's something I always take into consideration as well, you know, the practicality of things. Is it worth keeping something for the sake of keeping it? You know, there are tons of movies that I have in my collection that I've watched, and I think to myself, am I ever going to watch it again? You know, for example, I could think of a movie, I don't know, we'll just pick one out, for example, I don't know, here, Night of the Dead, for example, this one. I think I might have watched this on Amazon Prime, but I don't really remember a lot of it. I'll watch this movie. If I enjoy it, is it worth keeping in the collection? If I don't enjoy it, then it's not worth keeping. Am I going to get a lot of money for it? Probably not. But I think of it not necessarily for the money, but also, you know, I think to myself, well, if I can sell this for £2 and I paid £3 for it, I'll take a pound loss. But at the same time, do I want to keep it for the sake of keeping it? No, there's no point. You know, and that's the sort of maturity in terms that I've learned over the past couple of years. You know, it's something that you need to take into consideration. You know, that's the state of what I'm looking at right now. And I'm looking through my collection. I'm looking at my games, even my comic books. You know, I put a bunch of them up for sale. Am I ever going to, have I read them? Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. You know, if I've read them, is it worth keeping them for the sake of keeping it? No. You know, and that's something that is something that I think a lot of people often misconcede with some people. Some people might come in and go, "Why have you got so many DVDs? Are you a hoarder?" No. And you have, I've been called a hoarder before, you know, when I had tons of stuff. And I think to myself, looking back on it, I can see where people are coming from. But now it's like, because a hoarder, I don't really want to go into too much detail, but you know, a hoarder is someone that has a very hard time getting rid of something. If you took something away from a hoarder, they get very discouraged and it's very hard. I get pissed off if someone stole or sold something of mine without my permission. Yes, I would. But now I'm like, I can look at something and go, okay, practically, is it worth me keeping this? You know, am I going to rewatch it? Am I going to replay it? You know, there are things that I'd love as a collector. You know, as a collector, you want to keep stuff because, you know, it makes you happy. Your pride in your collection. You know, it's one of those things. And I like to think at the moment that I have one collection right now that I know that I'm keeping, and that's my PS2 collection. Those are things that I'm like, I don't want to get rid of my PS2 collection. I'm keeping my PS2 collection. That's my focus. Whenever I see a PS2 game I don't have, if it's something I can afford, I'll pick it up. You know, again, reselling and stuff like that is always something, you know, if you can get yourself a little bit, if you go out and buy 20 PS2 games for £10, £5, whatever, and then you can sell those 20 PS2 games on eBay for 30, 40 quid, and get yourself some money, then all the more power to you. eBay with me at the moment has been hit and miss, but there's one thing that I've actually realised about eBay, and I'm actually glad that I asked them about it. I just thought I'd mention this. Recently I sold something and it said sold through global shipping, and I think to myself, well, wait a minute, I never put this up for international shipping, because the reason I don't do international shipping was because of the price. However, eBay now have a thing called GSP, Global Shipping Program, which basically, whenever you sell something, if you put it on the GSP, it will then show up on other countries' sites. But the good news is, you ship it to a, I don't know if this is in other countries, but it is for the UK. You ship it to a depot in England, for example. I think it's in like Wiltshire or something like that, or somewhere like that. And then they do all the customs for you. They send it to the other countries for you. And I'm thinking, there we go, eBay. Something like that. You've done something right. And I never realised that. And I now know that. And I'm going to go through my eBay and put all of my items up for global shipping, because it don't cost me much anymore, because I can just go to the Royal Mail, pay the normal shipping prices because it's going to the UK, and I don't have to pay any extra for it. That's one thing I will say, eBay, you've done right. So now that I know that, I can actually do more things, because I know that international imports and things, you know, especially in Europe, because we're on the same you know, PAL territories, you know, I can send Region B DVDs. I can send Region PAL games and that, because I know that people in Europe are going to get them. But I also know that people in America or Japan might want these things as well. But I don't have to pay any extra. So that's one thing I just thought I'd mention. So as it stands, the state of the collection is what I like to call, in the sort of redeciding mode, basically. I am deciding what to do. At the moment, I've been selling stuff. It's taken up space while putting stuff up for sale, but I do know that there's still more stuff that I can sell, and hopefully with this new GSB program, hopefully some of the stuff might get shipped a bit easier. I'm quite flexible. If people make me an offer that's only a couple of quid less than what I'm offering, I'll accept it. If you lowball me like £10 under or something stupid like that, I'm not stupid. We can go back and forth. But that being said, I just thought I'd do a little state of the collection update, let you guys know what's going on. So don't be surprised if over the next few months some of these bookcases and game cases start to go down, because we will rebuy stuff over time. I just thought I'd mention I've got one DVD on the way, and that's Funny Games from 1997. I recently sold a couple of games, got like £10 for it, and I just needed to pick a few things up, and I had like £3 left on my account, and I thought, fuck it was only £3, so why not? But that being said, I'm going to play Overwatch tonight on Twitch, so check that out. I'm going away on Thursday, so I won't be really doing many videos while I'm away. I might do some videos if I sell more stuff while I'm away, or things like that, and I'll get a bit of money, then maybe we'll do a little trip into town, and maybe, but I want to save some money for when we go away on holiday. I can't wait. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave a like, comment below. Do you think this state of the collection video is something worth updating every month or so? I'll probably do another one of these in a few months time when things change a little bit. Let me know, do you what's the state of your collection right now? Do you think it's something you're happy with? Do you want to improve on it? Do you want to downsize? You know, and as always, guys, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch at the Mad Kiger. eBay store is on the link in the below. Like I said, if you're in other countries, I am now open to shipping worldwide through so because it don't cost me any extra. So if you're in other countries, you might want to check those things out, because I've got a bunch of stuff for sale. PC games, DVDs, Wii games, Xbox 360 games, a couple of Wii U games, some Xbox One games, and some comics and magazines, and possibly over the next few months we'll be adding some retro stuff and maybe even PS4 stuff as well. But anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.